What's up, everybody? I am Brandon, and we got a buttload of Activision Blizzard news to talk about today. That's right, we woke up this morning to some pretty crazy news in the games industry. It looks like Microsoft is going to be buying Activision Blizzard for almost $70 billion. Obviously, with all the harassment and lawsuits that we've been hearing coming out of Activision Blizzard, there is a lot to go through, so I got all that and more on another episode of Game Corner. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Remember, if you like what I do, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and I'll stop wasting your time. Alright, so like I said, we have a lot of Activision Blizzard news to go through this morning. It looks like Microsoft is going to be acquiring Activision Blizzard and King Games for almost $70 billion. That is pretty insane, especially knowing just last week we heard that Take-Two was acquiring Zynga for almost $13 billion. And at the time, that was the biggest acquisition in gaming history. And then 1 week later, Microsoft comes in and absolutely bulldozes that. In fact, when I woke up this morning and I saw the post from Nibble over on Twitter, I had to do a double take and make sure it wasn't a prank, bro. It was not a prank. It was very, very real. And it's especially pretty mind-boggling knowing that they've been having all these issues with harassment and crazy amounts of lawsuits and stuff like that, that Microsoft is going to come in there and acquire them all of a sudden. I do think this is a great deal over on Activision Blizzard's end. They really need a reorganization of their business and even some better media around what they're doing over there, and allowing Microsoft to come in and kind of reorganize that business is really going to help them in that area. They've been in a lot of hot water for the last year or two now, and they're definitely in dire need of getting Bobby Kotick out of there and kind of getting some new management in. And it does look like we're going to be getting rid of Bobby Kotick, thank God. So even though he's going to be making a fat paycheck out of this, at least we won't have to hear from him anymore, and hopefully he never gets hired by anyone anymore either. Honestly, they should just put a black mark on that guy's head and no one should mess with him anymore. Unfortunately, we have to wait till fiscal year 2023 for any of this to actually go through, so it's still going to be a little bit till, power starts to get taken over at Activision Blizzard and people like Kotick are starting to leave. And of course, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. By no means do I think this is changing toxic corporate culture, and even then, we gotta wait and see how this is gonna actually affect Activision Blizzard. Obviously, these are two gigantic companies, and even though they're being acquired by Microsoft, doesn't necessarily mean that they still don't have the power to kind of act independently and do what they please to a certain extent. So, like I said, we're kind of just gonna have to wait and see how all that pans out, but I do think in the long run, this is gonna end up being good for Activision Blizzard. Now, on the other side of things, obviously, Microsoft has been buying a lot of game companies, and then now with them acquiring Activision Blizzard, there's a little bit of sketchiness going on with them maybe becoming like some sort of monopoly, and I mean, we could argue that they already are. Obviously, it's not like Activision Blizzard is a little mom and pop shop or anything like that. It's a gigantic corporation, but even then, that maybe even gives them more power. I think in the article they mentioned something about how they're the third biggest game company in the world now. I mean, you could also take that with a grain of salt. They're the ones saying that. I don't know if they're actually higher on that list, and even if they were, they might not want you to know that. Unfortunately, that's just sort of how these companies are operating right now, and especially Xbox is really trying to take hold of the gaming market, and I mean, you can see them doing that with buying Activision Blizzard and Bethesda and all these other companies. They actually own more than 30 studios now, including things like Major League Gaming, who are a giant production studio. And not to mention, they're going to be getting obviously everything from Blizzard, but also Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, TreyArch, Beanox, Raven Software, High Moon, Toys for Bob, Demonware. I mean, there's a lot to chew on there. Phil Spencer said that they're going to be adding as many of their games as physically possible to Game Pass, so keep an eye out for a gigantic dump coming over to Game Pass here soon. Not to mention, this Activision Blizzard brand is going to fit perfectly with Xbox. Obviously, they do a lot of like Western RPGs and shooters and stuff like that, and that's really going to play to the Xbox crowd. I still just can't even believe that Xbox owns Battle.net now. Like, what the hell? Oh my god. Overwatch and World of Warcraft are Xbox games now. Like, that's crazy. I don't even know what we're gonna end up seeing from all of this, because it's just such a big deal. That also puts Microsoft in a very interesting situation, because now Xbox is gonna be one of the most premier places to be playing all these video games. That also brings up the question, are we gonna see any of these Activision Blizzard games on PlayStation or Nintendo anymore? And Probably not. I mean, odds are if they're doing anything like they were doing with Bethesda, they're gonna rip all these games off those platforms, or you're not gonna see them release on there anymore. I almost guarantee it. There's no way they're just spending $70 billion so you can still go be playing Crash Bandicoot and Spyro on your PlayStation, I assure you. I should mention that a couple times they talked about how they really want to get into doing this whole metaverse thing, so I would also expect some sort of like MCU situation from Xbox and Activision. I'm not sure what they want to do with that yet, but obviously that's a hot word this year, and I think everyone's trying to get a piece of that Facebook metaverse pie. Anyway, like I said, we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see how this all ends up going through, and obviously wait to see how this is actually gonna affect the culture over at Activision Blizzard. Hopefully they can come through and kind of sweep house and get Bobby Kotick out of there. And please, nobody hire that piece of shit. Me and just about everybody else is losing their absolute crap on the internet, and obviously it's a huge debate whether or not this is a good or a bad thing, so I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think down below? Let me know if you think this is a good thing for Activision Blizzard. Do you think this is a bad thing for the games industry? I'd love to hear. Anyway, that's about all the news I got on this Activision Blizzard acquisition. I'm Brandon. This was Game Corner, and have a kick-ass week.